and welcome to the Purge, the real Sharks Purge.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn.
Oh shit! Hopefully this stuff comes off.
Dude, no, Purge is forever.
Can't be purge. Yeah, purge is forever. The purge is forever. But sometimes we have to stop and readjust the makeup because
Stop killing.
it just, it's mirrors. Okay, it stings. You see, I got this. I got the stings.
This is Rob, part of the elite, rubbing off the
Right.
makeup.
And for those of you, my audience, who are not able to watch the show but are actually listening to it on one of our fabulous podcast broadcasting sites, we thank you for joining us. I am taking off my purge makeup, and it is taking a minute because, you got to get ready for the purge. And it took me a minute to get ready, and now it's taking me like there's some time here to
Yeah.
get all off because makeup. Anyway, okay, now we're ready, I think. All right, my audience. So if you didn't guess it today, we have a real special episode, and you have just me and the Dark Frenchman Steve here to take you on this
Yo.
through a franchise. Actually, I won't lie. I will not lie, my audience. Again, I will not lie to you. I didn't give maybe zero fucks about. Not even one. I mean, well, we're not even going to bleep that because I want you all to hear it. I want you all to hear from east to west here that I gave zero fucks about this franchise, and that was The Purge, of course. It's not. It's not that I thought that the movies looked bad cinematography wise, but for a while it just kind of seemed like. I mean, let's just start. Let's just kick it off here with what The Purge was. So, but more importantly, though, what kind of led to the whole purges. Do you remember the horror movie The Strangers, Steve?
I do, yeah.
About that
Three.
about the night of people coming into your house and they had all the masks on and everything like that and were scaring the crap out of the people. That came out in 2008. And the first Purge actually came out in 2013, if I'm not mistaken here. That's when the first one actually began. And the first one actually, let's go ahead and kick it off here. But let's tell everyone what the Purge is about. Let's go ahead and kick it off. So essentially, ladies and gentlemen, the Purge as a franchise and as a film, the premise is that there is one night of the year where basically all crime is legal. Anything you want to do, including murder, you're just not allowed to kill politicians that are above a level 10. You're not allowed to use level, I think it's like 5 weapons or maybe 6 weapons, whatever the hell any of those rules mean. You're just not allowed to do those. And once the sirens stop, the annual purge is over. So we basically are treated to a good franchise of, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films spanning from 2013 to 2021, including an untitled 6th Purge film that is to be announced. So
and a TV show.
And they also have a TV show, which a lot of people think, what I've heard, is pretty good. But that's not what this episode is about. But basically, though, The Purge as an idea seems really cool. let's just get it all out there. I mean, hell, who hasn't had this idea of, man, for one day a week, one night of the year, I can go out and just, kill my boss or kill some guy that has done me wrong. And essentially, that's kind of what the second purge is. Uh, but the first purge actually is really interesting because it starts, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about. Starts Ethan Hawke, which
Yeah.
amazingly enough, Ethan Hawke, Lena Headey,
Hmm.
Delina Kane, Max Burkholder. It was directed by James DeMonico, and it was also written by James DeMonico. It was
Yeah.
produced by Jason Bloom, Michael Bay, important, Andrew Form, and Brad Fuller. And this one is essentially about the basically the introduction of the policy of what the purge is. It doesn't really go into anything specifically that happens during the night of the purge, so to say. It's more about a family living through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
basically, a family living through it. And what's interesting about this family, though, is because the purge is such a huge thing. Oh, I might want to mention my audience. The economy is doing amazing, and crime apparently is at a zero, if you can believe any of that in this universe.
Right.
So, but this man essentially sells security systems. He is a person that makes wealth off the purge, and essentially they are basically riding out the night of the purge. Normal. But then you have the Miscallus youth. You know, I don't know. How would you describe his son in this instance, Steve? I mean, I don't want to
Weird.
be so rude as to say really stupid, but yeah, I guess you can.
No, no. Go that route, Rob. Really odd. You know what? I would say he's the stereotypical young, like suburban white kid that's like, he's in a rich neighborhood. There aren't a lot of
Making his
he
own
has no friends.
drones.
Yeah, making his own drones, but like doing it weird style. Like he's like
Right.
Sid from Toy Story. He's got like
Yes.
modifying toys.
Right. Spying on his parents with like
Yeah, because
sunglasses, like video glasses. So,
right.
and
Like what the
that was
hell?
back then when those video glasses were kind of becoming a thing. People were trying to get those off. People were like, "Oh, pretty soon people are going to wear watches, going to wear the glasses."
Google
Yeah.
glasses.
But essentially, though, what ends up happening is the son ends up letting in a homeless man. And might I add, he is a black
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Which is
I-
important,
Which
actually.
is important here because this, they do not say this in the film, and and that's why I love that Steve said this is important because it is important. Because the fact of the matter is that this movie does not have a play on racism in the first film. So I just
Yeah,
want to point that out. So essentially, he lets this man in, and then he is confronted by a bunch of purgers, and they're all dressed in masks. They're all basically young kids. They're basically saying, "Hey, let us purge. This is our right to purge." Granted to us by the new founding fathers. They give the speech
yeah.
over and over.
They're like yuppies, right? Like young
Yeah, the young
yuppie
yuppie kids that are
kids.
out killing. And essentially, they give the family a time limit, and the homeless man is hiding in the house thanks to the kid. And it starts when they bust the house in, and it's hilarious too because he even states himself like, that she's like, "Don't you sell these security systems?" And he's like, "Yeah, but we never tested them against the worst case scenarios." And it's like, the
What?
fuck is wrong with you, bro?
What? In
So
this universe, that's already a strike against like you sell security systems while the purge isn't a thing in your universe, but then you're like, we actually didn't test them. We just his that was like his words. He's like verbatim. They're only for show, so they're like supposed to scare off purgers because they look intimidating,
right,
but like they're basically made out of tinfoil, as you see later on in the film, of how easily the security systems just fail.
yeah. And essentially, we're greeted to a family and a bunch of violence of a basically these young purgers breaking in, taking the family hostage. But they get picked off one by one because Ethan Hawke is Ethan Hawke
Is
in
Ethan
this
Hawke.
film, and he's
Yeah,
of course going
out
to
of
take.
nowhere, right?
Right, yeah, he's Ethan Hawke, man. I mean, he's gonna like surprisingly pull out a gun and start killing people, which is what he does. So that's what he does. I mean,
It wasn't his
even
character either, though.
even in Daywalkers, he's like supposed to be like the scientist that's kind of like the like
All
not the
right.
aggressor one, but yeah, he can pull out a pistol and just start shooting people.
Right.
Excuse me.
He does it here. Actually, he does it here. He's like he goes full on like
Yeah,
Rambo style. He takes them all out. But he's doing it in a nice way. Like so, the thing kind of glosses over where they have two kids. One of them, like you said, is the weird son. The other one is like the rebellious young teen
might
girl
I
who's got a
add to?
boyfriend.
Let me interrupt Steve here because this is actually going on during the story. While all this is going on, you also have a young teen daughter
Yeah.
entertaining a boyfriend that supposedly wants
Right.
to have a conversation with the dad about them being together. But the conversation basically is more or less like
Good evening. Somebody order a bullet to the head.
he
Mhm.
tries to kill Ethan
Right.
Hawke. Ethan Hawke shoots back, and the girl
And the
chooses the
fin
boyfriend, man, for a good long portion of
over
the
the, her
film
the
while
whole
he's
film.
bleeding out in her room. But continue, Steve, with all the chaos.
Yeah. No, yeah, like so that was a very interesting thing. The boyfriend sneaks in. He's supposed to leave because the purge is about to happen. The family's gonna lock down. He sneaks back into the house and he's like, I'm gonna I'm gonna talk to your father to I don't know what. He was like, oh, if I'm here, he can't say no to me now. And his main plan was to kill his the father. But my whole thing is, even if he were to succeed there, what then? Was he gonna kill the rest of her
All
family?
right.
I got very,
I'm the man
I
of the
don't know about
house.
you, dude. I got like Scream One vibes with him just coming through the
That's so
window,
funny.
like
I
doing the
said
whole
that
thing where he
too.
turns.
I said
Yeah,
that. I
I
thought
was
that
like,
too.
I felt like this is way too much like Scream to be weird, but then like it ends immediately because the kid dies like right
Right.
after he gets shot. So it's like,
Right.
wait, what? She chooses him over the family because the mom's like, what is going on? Here comes this the black bloody stranger is what he's known as. Apparently, he has no name. He's just some homeless guy who's screaming for help. Black guy. He comes in. The kid saves him, and these yuppies want him. So then, as like Rob said, the whole thing ensues where Ethan Hawke is kind of yelling with his family, trying to get back the daughter, and he's also trying to figure out where this guy is because the homeless guy gets into the house, but then like you don't know where he is. He just disappears. He's hiding somewhere in the house, and then they kind of do this thing where they're like, give him up or we don't give him up. And Ethan Hawke's like, we got to give him up because we don't want to take part in this. And
Right.
the wife, and then the wife
Oh
kind
my
of on
God.
board with
The
the
wife could have
son's like,
ended the whole thing, spoilers, in
yeah,
this movie, and all of a sudden she just either cannot pull the trigger or I don't know, Steve. I don't know if she
like the
just
death
didn't
though.
if she's never shot the gun because I think it just clicked if I'm not mistaken. It was like a click click click. It was like, "Oh my God, cock the gun back."
Off the gun. But then you get to the moral of the film, though, right? Rob is like, do you kill somebody because you want to save your family? Is it morally correct? You know what I mean? Would
Right,
you do that
because
if some guy came in or
we have a double entendre ending, almost a the
like double twist
yeah, almost a oh God, help me out here, Steve. With
horrible twist?
Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon, and they both get shot. Remember the cop movie? Help me out here, Steve.
Departed.
Departed. Yeah, we almost have a double tap Departed ending here, in which you
Yeah.
have the main yuppie purger. He gets blown away, and then all of a sudden you have the situation where the neighbors come that blew him away, and basically they want to purge the family because get this, ladies and gentlemen. At the beginning of the film, the neighbor actually says to you, "Oh, wow, with all that money that we paid for your security systems, it's like we paid for your extension to your house." And it's like, right there, I would have just said to her before the purchase even started, "Listen, you didn't have to buy shit from me, okay? But you did. So you can shove your peanut butter and jelly right up your ass. And if you come over here tonight during the purge, I'm going to put a purging on your ass."
Right.
Which is kind
Yeah.
of
Because
essentially what happens because
yeah.
these people can't even do a good execution correctly either. And, they get blown away too. Um,
Yeah. Well,
and
dude, I think one of them does, right?
yeah, one of them does. But then you have a
Yeah.
situation
By the
where
back.
where you have the mother and the kids. Ethan Hawke is now dead at this point.
Yeah, right.
Spoilers.
Or is he? Is he dead? I couldn't.
I can't remember. I just know that they're still
He's just
fawning over.
lying there. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's dead. Because I never seen a guy get up from a shotgun to the chest like that for a while.
Yeah.
He took a good one.
So yeah. So
But
the wife, Lena Headley, was like, "We're gonna sit here. We're not gonna kill anybody. We're just gonna wait till this night ends." And then she was just like, kind of holding him hostage at the
right,
table.
which is kind of the moral, I guess, of the film of good
That's
people
cool. I
versus
mean,
bad people. Whatever. And the purge ends, and then
kind of. But then the lady kind of still was like, "I was still gonna kill you,"
right.
right? And she lunges at her, and she's like, "I said no effing killing," and
Smashes
she
her
just
head right in the
ashes her
freaking
face.
table,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And from this movie, okay. So first of all, I'll give the first movie, the first Purge. Honestly, I'm just gonna give it here on the Real Sharks, and this is including music because I don't think the music of these films are anything to be revered at. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's kind of like it's just there. I really don't care. It doesn't stand out to me.
I say they're bad, dude. It's
You don't like
bad.
the music?
It's dude. It's just like I just felt like it was. It's not like a score or anything. It's just
Right.
like the very cheap paint by numbers, ambient, scary, not
Yeah,
scary type of thing.
I
Just
agree with you.
there.
I won't even defend it. So overall, I give the one with Ethan Hawke, the first Purge movie that came out. I'd honestly give it a 6. Maybe, and that's a very low 6. That's like almost like at a 5.9, and that's just because it just seemed by nature a ripoff of Stranger Things, but like where the guys outside just had to get into a secure house. That was basically it. They weren't
Yeah.
they didn't just walk into the house like in The Strangers. They had to actually bust in,
Yeah.
and everything just kind of seemed like a ripoff of it for a while, which is why I never went and seen the first one to begin with. So
Same.
that's what me and Steve will go ahead and give that one. And that one, again, I'm not going to say The Purge is disappointing at all, but it seemed like it was a huge, broad idea, kind of put down into a little perspective of a script here. I mean, this is only happening to one family in this house on this
Hmm.
huge night, apparently, where this is happening across the United States, which is what.
Yeah.
But again, it leaves more questions than answers because you start to think about like little things like, okay, because they were chasing the homeless man who ends up also saving the day along with the daughter. Um, they chase him around, and you start to realize like, only the poor would die in this situation. So the poor are eventually being
Hmm.
essentially being hunted down.
Yeah.
But then you get into what I kind of was like thinking to myself, and of course, we always put ourselves in these situations, ladies and gentlemen. And what I thought to myself is, man, I wouldn't want to go out purging people, no matter how much tempting that would be. I don't think I could actually go out and do it. And I thought to myself, if anything, I would be purging the people that were doing the purging, which is kind of what the next movie is about, which is the Purge
Yeah.
Anarchy, which again is directed by and written by James DeMonico. Again,
Hmm.
produced by the same set of characters, Michael Bay, and it's funny because you can really tell these get to be more Michael Bay films than anything after a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the Purge Anarchy is basically every question you ever asked, kind of about the first Purge. Like, okay, is there extreme amount of racism? Yes, there is. Is the poor targeted? Yes, they are. I mean, to the point of where some people give their lives away, such as the characters in this film, their uncle. This
Yeah.
movie stars Frank Grillo, Carmen Igago, Zach Gilford, Kelly Sanchez, and Michael K. Williams. And basically, the mother and daughters, basically her uncle and the father of the mother, basically he ends up selling himself to a rich family who basically partake in dinner and then just pull a Dexter. It looks like
Yeah.
together decided to just kind of just fucking have a stab at this guy. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where you're set up in this film to begin with. So you already have that first question answered. Do the poor suffer? Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting like
For
concept
money too. They have poor
for
suffer
money.
for money.
Yes, because also then you have a very interesting concept as well. Is that you also have a lot of like people offering protection, but protection for like really fucked up reasons. Because there was guys offering all
Oh,
the
dude.
women protection because they have guns
Horrible.
and everything. Yeah, but you also see you kind of get a version of everything in this film because then you also see basically a couple that's just targeted. They're just an everyday kind of couple that
Yeah,
are just
right.
targeted.
They were trying to get out of the purge. Was that
Right.
their deal? They were trying to get away.
And
Okay.
someone sabotaged them so they were in the purge, which again is a
These
problem
young
of
purgers.
right, these young purgers that were after them. And then you have basically the so
Yeah.
Leo Barnes basically uh he and this is the weird part about this one. This one actually kind of didn't it was a little bit more interesting than the first one because you got to actually see what was happening on the purge night. You got to see people
Right.
breaking into shops. You got to see people executing people, people dressing up. You see obviously elitists and huge people with money driving around in caravans with Gatling guns and just butchering people as much as they want.
School buses full of
School
like people.
buses. And then you have Frank Grillo's character, Leo Barnes, who basically is out in this night, who comes across all these people. And I'm not lying, ladies and gentlemen. This is I think very poor writing. And I'm just going to, I share this with you, my audience, because I know you're smart enough to know all this right off the bat. He is a character that basically helps all these other characters for no reason. And then the reason he is given to is so he can get another car after his gets
Mhm.
basically totaled trying to save them when he's out on the purge. And basically he's
Which he
promised
like Mad Max too. He like anti-purged it. It was like
right.
full of sheet metal and
And it was only because
weird.
he helped these people that were basically being taken by this organized guy who's basically loading him up with a Gatling gun so he gets a bullet right in his engine block, ladies and gentlemen. So we all know we ain't driving away from that. Um, but basically, you're seeing people rounded up in droves. You're basically seeing what is essentially genocide in America.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because again, all these people are
Did
suffering
you
through this.
know? Hey, Rob, I hate to cut you off, but did you? Well, we'll get to it. But did you notice the people that were being drug out of the apartments?
Yes,
They're
minorities. Most of the
minorities.
minorities
Yeah.
and poor people, yes. And
Yeah.
that's what I thank you, Steve. I'm glad you added to that because this is going to keep playing on in the Purge films, all the way up
Oh.
until the M. Now, the racism is actually going to start to play into there because you also have Nazis and white supremacists out there. You have gang members, and you even have little thugs out there just trying to round up people for money. That's all they're trying to do, which is
Did
essentially what
everything.
happens. Which is essentially what happens to some of the
Full of
main
it.
characters. They just basically get rounded up by these thugs for money. But what again? I want to get back to this main plot because again, it drives me nuts, Steve. Because he's essentially Frank Grillo's promised a car, and you already know what's going to happen. And when he gets there to their destination, he doesn't get a car. And then all of a sudden, like one of the residents who they're shacked up with goes nuts and decides to kill her sister for cheating. And then all of a sudden, he helps them again. He continues to help them. And
Again, dude.
at this point, I was like, dude, I would have been like, fuck
Ah.
you guys. You
Yeah,
know,
it's like
I
I gave you you're alive. Go run
I gave
away.
you
Do
guns.
whatever.
I got you away from all
Right.
these people. I had shit to do tonight. You know what
But
I
then
mean?
he's like being a douchebag to him. He's like helping them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, thank you. Can we do this?" He's like, "Oh, I don't, get off of me." And it's like
Right.
you're helping us, being a douche
It's like
after helping.
it's like when you always hear about poking the bear in the cage, but it's like this bear basically just will growl and be like "Rrrr," and rub right up against you. It's like that's all it does. That was essentially this
Yeah.
character, and I wasn't put off by him, but by the kind of the end of the movie, I was like, oh my god, who cares what this guy's doing? Because so, but here's the interesting point though, and again, every one of these movies do have an interesting kind of revelation towards them about one of the characters or a few of the characters. So you have this guy who saved everybody, but he is also out to get vengeance, and he
Yeah.
is out
That's
to
his
kill
main
somebody who
goal.
killed his son. Gets there, gets into the house, puts the chamber right to the guy's forehead. Then he's walking out all blissful and ecstatic. Then boom, he is shot by the big. They call him Big Daddy, but basically he
Big
is this
Daddy. Yeah.
elitist.
Yeah. Son.
You can tell he's a politician with a fucking semi truck just purging people to purge him.
Is that what it was? I couldn't tell at first, Rod, because I just was.
That's what I
I
think
can't.
he is.
My
Yeah,
audience, like, I just didn't bother to look into this guy's character after I saw
right.
his name was
That's
Big
what I think he
Daddy. It's
is.
like,
Yeah. But essentially, though, you have they get basically rounded up by the elites. The elites try to hunt them, fucking Hunger Games style, and then you get basically another essential thing that was going on throughout the whole movie. These like almost Black Panther revolutionary guys come busting in and save the day, and they let Franco basically take his revenge. Frank doesn't kill them though, but here's a problem where me and Steve talked about it off air right off the bat is right as the guys are getting ready to kill them off, the purge is over, and they're just like,
yeah,
well, all right, no more killing. That's it.
that's it. And just like Rob has said, not mind you guys, these are supposed to be elitist, like on the verge of being like Illuminati type of individuals that kill anyways if there were no purges. So why there was nobody on the street, by the way. So it's you could have killed them, gone away. Nobody would have known who they were anyways, and they would have gotten away with it. So why did they wait for the thing to happen? The siren. We can't kill this guy. That's literally dying anyways. You know what I mean? It makes
Right.
any sense to me.
Yeah, it really didn't. So Purge Anarchy, I hate to say it, I actually give this one a 4. There were some interesting things about it, but beyond that, it was such a shallow plot that I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh man, this is Michael Bay obviously wrote this."
yeah, yeah, dude. No, I give it a
uh,
2 because it's so shallow. They blast by too many points that I understand you have an hour and a little bit over a half to. It's an hour and 43 minutes, but it's dude. They blow like the Illuminati, like hierarchy blown over pretty much. This whole anarchy group that's against them. Just how do they? There's too many questions again. So they answer the questions sort of from the first film, which is just was it racist? I would like to see it in a new environment. But then they do it with more questions of like the guy you said, Rob, with the chain gun with the hat on. Why was he doing it?
right.
The Illuminati people were so cheesy. The villains were just too villainy. Like everybody is like so. It's like the first
Dressed
at the end of
up.
the first film. That's yeah. They're dressed
Everyone's just
up and they're
yeah.
like it's like
Everyone dresses up.
you
Like,
can't get
really? Do you
into it,
think
man.
you think everyone would dress up like that? I mean, come on now. I mean,
And
but
clapping and you're
but
like,
the
oh
the
yes.
only thing that I thought was interesting though was that he was going around killing people that were killing people, and I was like, that's probably what I'd be doing if I was purging on the night. I mean, I'd be seeing people out there executing families, and I'd be like, ha ha ha, ha, and I'd go out and shoot those guys, and I'd be like,
Just
I'd tell the family,
Batman it up.
everybody gets one. I'd be like, everybody gets one.
Right, I know, right, Rob? You're not going to be like, is there like 11 people in here? All right, come on, get in my car.
Right.
It's like, no, I've saved you. That's it. You know what
Everyone
I
gets
mean?
one
Like,
later.
yeah.
Like, but I think I want to stop before we get to purge election year because I think I want to kind of get into before we run out of time what I think the purge is very interesting as films my audience because we're right now entering a very interesting time in our political world where I hear a lot of people talking about how violence is more of a option than talking our situations out because you are on the other side of the aisle, which I don't understand because it is politics, meaning policy, not your fucking team does this, so I'm gonna always stay on my team, and it doesn't matter what your team does, which is absolutely retarded because at the end of the day
Yep.
when you sit there and look in the mirror and wonder why your life is so bad because nothing's happening, you have your answer because you decided to be stupid about it and play a game with what is more important. But I hear a lot of this, Steve, about how the purge would be an interesting thing to actually have, and we actually had this on Twitter a while back. People were actually tweeting, the real purge, like
Yeah.
the real purge,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's interesting because you think this idea is a good one, but as the second movie kind of shows with the sister, all that would kind of be left in this world from the people that didn't want to kill, that were obviously being killed. Because the people that didn't do killing, let's just be honest, that try to hide up and shack up, they're obviously being hunted down. Let's just be honest. You would go out and try to
Right.
bust someone's house and kill them. So those people are being hunted down. So intellectuals, basically, and people who uh, want peace are basically being hunted down. And you're basically going to have a society of psychopaths, which I think is great when they say the economy is 100%, because it's like, oh, yeah, because you have nothing but drones, people who don't think for themselves because they're out there killing all the people who think for themselves on this one night of the year. And, I really think it's kind of stupid, because all you would do is limit society to of various degrees. Because what if you had an Einstein among the purged? What if you had,
Right.
like, somebody, the guy who had the ability to cure cancer there? And you think these ideas are really shallow. They're not, because you could have already eliminated a person who had that idea, or could change the world for the good. That's all you'd be doing on these nights if this was
Yeah.
a real thing.
Because this
And
is a 12-hour night. It's not like a 24-hour thing, and it's all crime. It's not just, all right, murder is the only thing legal, and everybody's just murdering everybody. It's like Rob
right.
brung something up off air that we talked about
Oh, I'm
offline.
getting into it.
Just money laundering. Why don't you
Yeah,
just do
it
that?
would be
You
a
just rob a bank.
constitution. There would be no constitutional crime. So basically, you could go out on the night of the purge, print out millions and millions of dollars in counterfeit money,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
when the next day
Legal.
came, you could say, "I did it on the purge," so this money is legal tender.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I'd
they
do
would
it with
see
Crown. I would
what it
fucking do
was.
it with, like, Crown, Steve. I would make the most ludicrous, like, counterfeit dodgy. I mean, they would be like, these are obvious. I'd be like, I don't care. I did it on the purge. Okay, that's the purge money. All
Right.
right,
I was,
this this
yeah.
this bill's worth $1 billion right here on the
Yeah.
purge. And then not only that, but how would you prove anything that happened on the purge, ladies and gentlemen?
Right.
How would you prove it happened on the purge? Like
I mean, like
anything.
it's one specific day. People would lie. You know what I mean? It wouldn't work. It
It wouldn't work.
can't work. It just can't work other than like they resorted to, which was the
Society
murder.
would and society would absolutely collapse, because
Yeah.
you would have elite people that wouldn't want to take the lower wage jobs, and if they were just killing the poor people, then you would
Yeah.
honestly have nobody to work those jobs. So
You have
thus
nobody, so why
the
would they do
economy would
that?
just collapse, right?
Right.
So again, it's interesting, because then you had the purge election year, which is essentially about a politician who sees his family that's her family eliminated on the purge, and decides to run for president, and decides to end the purge. And then you also had um I already spaced his name. Sorry, hold on. You had
Yeah.
Frank Grillo. Yep, sorry, Steve. Yep.
Yeah.
He came back to he's basically essentially the guard, and
Yeah.
he's guarding the candidate from the purge. This one, it's a lot like the second one, except there's just more violence. And now it kind
Hmm.
of seems like politicians are fair game, even though they
Which they
shouldn't.
weren't.
Right, which they shouldn't be
So
all
they're
the time.
forgetting the rules already.
Yeah, the rules already of the purge are already starting to kind of get kind of out of control. And it's, again, this one, I think, okay, I will give this film this credit in this sense. This is where the purge absolutely knew where it was, what it is, and what it should be.
Mhm.
I mean, because of the themes they got for it, I mean, it's pretty cool. You got the Statue of
Dude.
Liberty all looking all purged like. Um, but yeah, it was like that. And so
George
you got,
Washington, dude, with the
yeah,
gun.
and so essentially, you have Elizabeth Mitchell basically trying to survive the night here through all these people, because that don't want the purge to end, because of course they're fucking psychopaths, and they
Right.
they literally, I guess, prep for this one. See, that's what I don't understand. I have to stop again here, because before I even should jumped in this movie, my audience, I should have mentioned too. This is also, I should have mentioned, this movie came out here in 2016. But what else is really hilarious about this one too is, what would the middle class be doing besides waiting the next 4 years to vote out the purge? Because you're essentially just abusing the middle class here. If the rich people are
Right.
picking off the poor people, and like, what are the middle class going to be doing here? Just like, damn.
Like,
So
this is messed up.
I mean, you're gonna have people that purge. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the entire population that's doing this, and that's what these show. So, again, it wouldn't work, and that's why the election year is an interesting one. But I like it. I like it more than actually anarchy, I would say, and I just
Oh
think there's
wow.
a little bit more dynamic to it. So I'd actually give this one like probably a high six. Like,
Oh my goodness, really?
yeah, yeah, over the other one. Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking Purge movies, I guess it's pretty. I felt like, yeah, I think it was watchable. It still had stupid stuff like the whole love tension between them and the whole, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you're falling in love during this. It does make sense. The whole, obviously, again, so many people are just psychopaths for no reason. The whole thing with those
Right.
children, these children, right? This, for instance, they walk into that store and then I forget what they do. They just like get mad at them because they get kicked out or something, and then they just decide like, okay, we're just gonna kill you. It's like they go to everything is just so extreme. It's like, oh, the purge is coming up, so I'm just gonna kill you because you told me no or whatever.
Right. And that's
And
what's
it's
stupid
just
about the
so
purge in
like,
a sense.
why is everybody so instantly a psychopath? Like, I don't
Again,
like.
again,
So
Steve. Again, you're
pain.
getting so ahead of yourself in this. And again, we're gonna kind of stray on the film itself and kind of break down the perspective, because yeah, that's what I also had a problem with, Steve. It's just like everyone is basically a psychopath. That's all you would leave in the world would just be psychopaths. Nothing would ever be like easygoing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would be enhancing humanity's worst behaviors like jealousy. You shouldn't
Hmm.
kill because you're jealous, but you're basically gonna go purge someone on because you're jealous on the purge because you hate the way how big their house is. It's like Jesus Christ, where's the motivation to maybe get that house for yourself or pull up your bootstraps? Like I'm just saying, where's that one? Where's that? Because if you're out killing everyone, it doesn't sound like you're, out there trying to make it yourself if you're just trying to kill all the rich people like that. It just or even the middle class. That's what I don't like about the Purge movies is it creates that world. Okay, so what did you think of the first Purge, Steve?
Yeah, man, it was good. I felt like it was all right. I like the premise of it, dude. It felt like, hey, let's try out this purge thing on a low poverty neighborhood full of black people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Got systemic backgrounds of America doing that anyways. So I felt like that was good. But when you get into the nuances of the film, dude, it
All
just
the political stuff from the NFA, the newfound founders of America, how they're
yeah.
basically kind of pushing this to be a bigger thing. Yeah.
Right, they're trying to pick, yeah, and it was kind of cool. Like as of all the Purge movies, this is probably my favorite premise.
Actually, I have to say I agree with you. And this one also too is a little bit really violent. There's like a lot.
Yeah.
There's rape, like attempted rape, and there's quite a bit of stuff in this one
Mhm.
that I was like, wow, this one kind of gets really purgy.
It's a little, and it's to its downfall too, Rob. To be honest with you, when it gets a little too purgy, it's like when you're doing too much again. It's like you got to focus on one thing. Um,
Right, because you're not showing people that people be raping and
yeah,
people would be doing all kinds of horrible things on the purge too, besides just killing people.
yeah.
So, I mean, but you know what also would be another crime you could commit too, Steve, is if you could buy literally all the drugs you possibly could in one night and it'd be perfectly legal.
I know. Why aren't people doing that? That's what that would have been a good premise, actually, Rob. If somebody was like buying up all the drugs, and then you got like I don't know, like all these gangs
The
involved.
purge 420, some guys like, "You guys are dumb, bro. You guys are out there all killing each other, man. I'm breaking into the dispensary, man, and
Yeah,
taking all the weed,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, I know, right, bro? And just straight up like
It's all legal,
it's all
man.
legal, dude. You're not doing
It's
anything
all
wrong.
legal.
It's all legal. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's all legal,
That's
man.
Purge movie. You're giving these Blumhouse another idea for their next film.
Blumhouse, did you say Blumhouse, man? um,
What do you think about this one, man?
like I said before, I thought it's it's interesting because it's about how the purge kind of got kicked off, but like you said, it's very small. It's like, hey, let's try this on a small scale. So maybe to me that was just kind of, eh, it's
The
like all the
highest
other
rated
films.
movie out of all of them.
Huh? Yeah, it is. I think
Yeah.
it's the most interesting out of all of them. It's the most original.
Yeah.
Put it
Different
that way.
directors. You got Gerald McMurray, so he comes in to direct this. I don't know. It just seemed a little interesting. New production company too. It's not Blumhouse, it's Universal
Right.
did this. So that's what kind of it did have a different.
And yeah, like Jared McMurray had also screenwriters. It will also James DeMonico came back to write this one too.
Right?
But
Yeah.
again, this was also again Michael Bay, but maybe they put Michael Bay on the back burner of this one because well, it still was actiony. And see, this is what kind of like the next movie I'm gonna really kind of have fun with, and the next one is actually I think my favorite one, Steve,
Oh
because
my God! I knew it.
no, 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 and I don't mean that. I don't mean that, my audience, as in like it was the best of all the films. I mean that is because it's the funniest. Because
Yeah.
as me and Steve are talking to you about these films, we're giving you the nuance of why The Purge wouldn't work essentially, in real time, and why it's kind of interesting that with the political atmosphere we have now in America, why these films are an interesting piece to look at now. But basically, you get to the point of where like me and Steve said, you couldn't prove anything constitutionally on the Purge night. You can commit all these stupid crimes, like white collar crimes, like steal like a bunch of money from a bank and be like, yeah, totally,
Yeah.
it's okay because it's on the Purge, you know. So you kind of get to the point of when you're like, okay, so people wouldn't stop, at once it got going, and that's when you get the next movie, which is the Forever Purge. And this one is clearly, taking place in Texas. It has a clear indication of racism because you have people out hunting down Mexicanos, Latin Americans, whatever you want to say. But basically, they're trying to purge all the immigration out of America. Let's just be straightforward with it. That's
That
what
is
they're trying to do.
thing
That's,
already, Rob. You go for Latinos. That's
that's
the
what they
first
do.
one you go
That's
for.
what they did. What do you think they did, Steve? What the whole goddamn movie is about that. That's
It's
all it's
so
basically about.
like, oh my God, the movie's over already. It's like you're gonna go with the largest base in America. Okay.
That's what they did. They decided to just kill all the Latinos and purge Latinos. But here's the thing. So it's about basically this family that, of course, has some Latino workers. Let's just be honest here. So they have Latino workers, and this is starring Ana de la Rodriga, Tuna Kuruda, Josh Lucas, Cassidy Freeman, Levin Rabin, and Will Patton. And again, so you had this family who's basically just looks like a land owning blue collar white family, and they just have some workers that happen
Maybe
to
some blue
be,
blood ties because they're on a huge ranch.
yeah, yeah, they do have blue blood ties, so they are a rich family, and essentially they live throughout the purge. But as that title says, it doesn't end in one night, because this is the forever purge.
The
That's right.
after purge or whatever they say in the
The
film.
forever purge, ever after purge. Like, just say, I think the PR got away here because
Yeah.
it was actually ever after, purge ever after, and
Purge ever
I hate
after.
to tell you that, but that sounded pretty. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put it in a clip right here.
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
know what you mean.
So it's just like that's like when I first seen the trailer and he's like, and Steve knows I've been saying it all week, the whole the forever purge. Like I was like, okay. But what they don't show you, like most political videos, they don't show you the rest of the video because he literally goes, "The forever purge, ever after,
Yeah, he
forever
does, dude.
after, forever." I think it's like the forever purge, forever after. Duh, duh. Shoots his gun up in the air, my audience, and it's just like urban cowboy,
Yeah, rhinestone cowboy coming in.
rhinestone cowboy. Steve
He
knows what
was.
I'm
He had a skull
talking.
mask on.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, of course, we have the Forever Purge, but it doesn't last long for these guys because, of course, if you have a situation like this, you're just going to be taken out because everybody's taking out each other, which is
Yeah.
what again, and this movie kind of just goes exactly with the other movies. It's just basically about a family, and they all basically team up together, white and Mexican,
Right.
to fight off to survive this forever purge until it ends. And it's basically these radical guys trying to basically start this whole movement online and everything, forever purge, yada yada. But again, it doesn't last and it doesn't work because the purge would not work. Because what you essentially have here is what actually this should have been changed to the title of the first movie, which is Anarchy, because you would just have anarchy,
Yeah,
and anarchy would not work. Anarchy does not exist, cannot exist, will not exist, because someone will always take charge, someone will always take power, no
right.
matter what.
One
And
human can't handle power like that.
and I want to add this here too, Steve, because this is what I love about, and this is what I kind of expected. They do make another Purge movie. This is what it should be about, because
Yeah.
man, and I think Steve already knows where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen, because Man in the High Castle, for those of you who have not seen that series, has made a very good point when it comes to racism and Nazis. So let me just paint a picture here for you. You're an avid, hardcore working policeman in America during the Great Depression. You see this system of, but it's from the Nazis to help better your life, and you do. You take it, you run with it, you become a huge rank and file Nazi. You love the Nazi Party until they come to you one day and say, "Hey, your son, who is coming of age, has a genetic disorder that makes him non-viable Aryan. You can't even see it on the outside, but this genetic code means he is an impure Aryan, and you're gonna have to kill him." Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what that would happen in the purge. They would start
Yeah.
purging themselves.
Yep.
You would just let's have the forever ever purge,
Yeah.
the for,
Forever,
the,
ever.
the
Uh,
forever and never purge,
the
basically, where everyone
23andMe purge, where we have to figure out where you come from first and purge.
right where everyone has to kill each other. It's just not even. It's like you say hello and everyone's just popping each other, you know.
Right.
But essentially, the Forever Purge, I thought I just Forever Purge ever after. They even painted
Yeah,
on trucks.
they
You
painted
know,
the forever purge. She's with
Forever
us.
Purge. Ah,
You can
God.
get away with it. Actually, it doesn't even matter about race. If you just yell out "forever purge," they're like, "Oh,
Right.
okay." They're, I guess you hate
And,
other
and
people too.
and the ending of this film, of course, I don't like to use the term woke on it, and I won't. I will never use that term, my audience, because you absolutely know I hate it, and I think it's absolutely stupid. I almost said another word that isn't too PC, but I'll just say it because, I don't care and I don't mean it in the way of being derogative. It's retarded. But essentially, what I loved about the ending of this one, even though it was absolutely stupid and retarded, was that because America is so inflamed with the violence, over 2 million Americans
God.
cross over into Canada and Mexico as refugees. And yeah,
And the baby, the white baby, because there was a thing about this guy and he has his wife, I think, and the
yeah,
wife's pregnant. She gets over, she's taken in
right.
by Mexico, right?
Hmm.
Which is another thing. Taken in by Mexico with open arms. She has her baby over in Mexico, which makes that baby Mexican, but white nationality, white, right? It's like
The
again,
Forever Purge.
just for dude, that would have been the funny. You know what I thought, Rob, when I first saw that? Because here's the
Like as they're
because
delivering the
older,
baby,
yeah,
guy, Dr. Hole, and then all of a sudden it's just that same dude, Forever Bird.
no, not even, no, I thought the baby was gonna be like forever bird. Dude, that's what I thought. Like, but the whole thing about the afterthought about the Native Americans, Rob, what did you think about that? Their story was kind of just like, oh, we'll help you, fight this off, and then that's it.
I mean, it's just all callbacks, which is
Yeah.
what makes the Purge kind of funny and makes it,
It's just so
in a
funny.
sense, very comical. And I don't mean that from a comedian. I mean that from a little comic book perspective. It makes the universe so like far fetched. It's funny. It's just like, of
But I
course,
love it almost.
I'm sure the Native Americans, truly, a lot of them are sitting there going, "Yeah, go ahead and just fucking kill each other all off, so you guys all leave us
Why
alone."
would they even? Yeah, why would they help?
Yeah,
Because
why
that was
would
the
they help?
thing.
They're like, "This is helping us."
Yeah, it
So
was. I don't know how I really didn't know how you were gonna feel about this, Rob. My audience, I told Rob to watch this. I was like, I mean, he might love this, he might not. It was a flip
seven,
of the coin, and now he likes it. And I
7.
I immediately thought when he watched this, I was like, did he like the scene when they catch them and they're like, listen, white people, kill these Mexican people and we'll let you go, right? And
Right.
then that's when the guys was like, forever purge or whatever, and the lady's screaming about racism. I was like, well, that was right when they were like, well, the government has lost control and purgers are now killing and overpowering the US Army.
Right.
So I was like, just normal people on the street, which once again
I
aren't
know.
even purgers. They're just a specific group of people, right? Right, Rob, that are overpowering the United States
It
government.
was like that scene from the only thing that comes close to being that funny is in Predator 2 when those fucking drug dealers are just blowing the cops away with all this shit. And that guy is just reporting. He's like, "Who's in charge here? It's not the police. It's like a war zone down here in LA."
The dude in the
That,
Hawaiian
that's
shirt.
what I that's what it kind of reminded me of.
It almost was because they were like driving tanks. I'm like, where did they get that? Like I can
Right.
understand people from like the whole movies were just people on the streets, Rob. They're in trucks, whatever. They're running with Molotovs to all of a sudden driving tanks and armored vehicles,
And the
yelling.
government and our American government being probably not probably this one is probably about a little bit smarter than the one we have now. They actually were like, "Oh yeah, let's go ahead and keep letting these people have tanks and more militaristic weapons." I mean, you would think if a government was like, "Yeah, let's do something like the Purge," they would be like, let's not let citizens get tanks and stuff like that. But no, they don't learn their lessons. I think the NFFA are the national board members of Wayland Enterprise, also co-members of Engine.
Right,
Because I swear to God, these ideas that these fucking people have all around, it's always for money and shit. And it's like
dude.
blows up in your fucking face and you keep going.
Oh my God, Rob, that was so funny, dude. And I will just say this: I didn't see the show, The Purge. It's fairly
We
new, by
haven't
the
seen it
way.
yet. We haven't seen it yet.
But it does have reoccurring characters where they meet from the movies, and one of them being Ethan Hawke's character from the first film. So apparently, he does live. He's in this film or in this show, and it's supposed to be all of them kind of coming together and surviving the purge again. So it's just, I think this is a premise that was good on paper, the purge, but when it was put to film and acted out, it just fell so
I
far
disagree.
what they wanted.
I disagree with you, Steve. I
Really,
think the Purge is honestly like Highlander. It's honestly like there are films that when you sit there, you can watch them, but if you ask too many questions, you're like, okay, this might be fucking the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life.
like what's going on in the film? Shh, don't say anything. Let it
I'm
happen.
just saying, if you literally ask, okay, why are these guys throughout the ages cutting each other's heads off looking for a grand prize that is blank, you know.
Connery, his like Spaniard in this film. Shh. Yeah, I don't know, man. I will say this as if you're gonna
Purge
ask me,
Highlander,
yeah,
the sixth installment.
Purge Highlander crossover.
Yeah,
Christopher Lambert in the you know what
comes
Christopher
comes
Lambert in the
over,
Purge films might actually
ends the
make,
purge.
yeah.
Because there can be only one.
There could be only
He has to purge everybody by cutting everyone's fucking head
cut
off.
it head off.
There can be only one.
I don't know, man.
Uh,
I feel like when you compare those two, Rob, you made a really good point that what The Strangers did well compared to what The Purge didn't, and how the subtle nuances of what the first film was. It was interesting because it
Yeah.
was on one story. It got conjumbled in the end, but it focused on one story, and it felt fine. It was all right. But when you get to anarchy and election year, which was one of my funniest scenes ever. It wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was like that. They were, I don't know what they were. Were they like Norwegian people? They were like these foreigners that came over and they were killed. Did you see that scene?
Yeah.
I was like, am I supposed to be laughing at this scene? Because I don't know what's funny or not. Like, I don't know what they really mean to be funny, or what they
I
don't.
don't think it's meant to be funny at all.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying, Rob. Like, we're
But
laughing at the guys going forever purge, but was that intentionally funny though?
right, but if you just like again, Steve, but it's funny because when you literally do the forever purge, you're just making deliverance at that point in Mad Max. Like if like that's what I'm saying. That's why the
Deliverance.
forever purge is that's why I give it the highest rated film. It's a film that almost cancels itself out. You know what I mean? It's like if you just go straight to the anarchy, you just have deliverance or Mad Max.
Oh
It's
my
like
That's what we need in this film. More deliverance.
that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It just became another action film after that. After that fucking siren ended and the purge was over and they kept going, that kind of to me was like the end of the purge films because it's like okay, you can't go back. That timeline is where you can't go past, but you guys went past, so now you guys are just making deliverance and Mad Max here
So you
without cars.
can't. What you're telling me and the audience here, Rob, is like as soon as that siren goes off, you're not gonna get just a guy going squeal, piggy, squeal.
As soon as that, and I'm just talking about the end movie, because the rest of them have a point. They have the premise
They
that
have a yeah.
happens once a year. The Forever Purge is where it literally, as the guy is showing my audience, and you can go look this up online, he is riding a horse with an American, like with the American flag. But
Yeah.
literally, as soon as that movie starts and that siren goes off, that horse fucking bucks his ass off, and it literally does not make a goddamn lick of sense after that.
Yeah.
So,
But it also does simultaneously. It's a very interesting film, bro. I will say that. It just didn't make sense.
no,
But it
yeah.
did.
It's the only film I've ever seen that cancels itself out.
Does it cancel out the series, Rob? Do you see I'll
No,
ask
that makes
some
a
final.
show.
You
But no,
think
actually, yeah, I think you can't really go. The only thing you could do, like from here, is if you did, and you know how this goes, my audience. There's only two options we can go from here, and let's say it together, okay? We know what titles they would be, which is The Purge Rising or The Purge Resurrection. And both titles, as you know, my audience, we are in trouble because when you have those those in the titles, it's guaranteed to be a stinker.
Yeah. This is when the purge people are actually zombified and then they come back and then you got to like purge the zombies while they're yelling for you
It'd
have
be the first purge, and then it would just be a fucking zombie movie if they're like, we gotta. It would be everyone who got purged, who was killed during the purge,
yeah,
came back up from the dead, like it's not like you're saying, like zombies, and so they'd have to repurge the purge.
you have to repurge the purgers, but they're also racist zombies too. So they're yelling out forever.
Oh, it's almost like Dead Zone in a way. It's like you got Nazi zombies here too. Jesus Christ, that's like Goosebump status
Oh
almost.
my
That's some
god,
shit.
dude. Yeah, no, don't even besmirch Goosebumps with this mess.
You could probably put Goosebumps on the Forever Purge, and probably it'd be the same goddamn thing after a while because as we all know, R.L. Stein always like wrote some weird thing where it canceled the fucking story he was writing about at the end. So I mean, literally, you could have the story be like the Forever Purge, Ever After Purge, Forever Ever, and
Forever.
Ever Ever, and Ever Ever Quote Outcast.
This was, dude. As much as I said I don't like these films, this is probably an awesome set of 5 film collection because you're gonna get your like funniness out of it. You're gonna get your somewhat intrigue. You're gonna get your gore. And it's a very unique set of horror films because they're not really horror. They're like
Thriller
action
horror.
mixed with horror,
Action
mixed
horror.
with thriller. with comedy spilled all over it. It's like a Norman Rockwell painting. It just splatters
Like an
everywhere.
urban Mad Max.
Yeah, kind of though, right? I mean, in a way, it's sort of like an industrial Mad Max where people, because at the end of this Purge film, by the way, people, they go into this desolate town, and then this Hispanic guy's like, "You got my peanut butter for my jelly." He's just like, "We're a match made in heaven," or he says something along that line, and I was just
So I
like,
told Steve the first
"Is
time I
this a
met him in
zombie
audience.
film?" Yeah. But that's like us though. So it's like, are you like being us or what? Like you shouldn't be saying what we're saying.
Yep. Just too real, man. But just like the 12-hour policy, it is time for that hour of Real Sharks to end, ladies and gentlemen. And we thank you for joining Steve and Rob on this celebration that happens one by the new founding fathers of America, which was our God-given right to talk about today, and that was the Purge.
Purge.
The Real Sharks
The real
Purge.
Sox purge.
So we're catching you all from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, saying we'll catch you on the flip side and stay safe out there from the Purge.